Will New World last? That's a good question. And Josh Strife made a video about it called Will New World Last? And I also have my own thoughts on that and if I think New World will last. So yeah, let's have a look and then discuss.
Amazon's new MMORPG, New World, has launched and is, by all metrics, a major success, seeing a concurrent player peak on Steam of 930.
Yeah, it's insane. And Twitch #1 all the time almost.
New global top MMORPG? Will it settle into the big 5 and create the big 6, or is it simply a flash in the pan destined to go the way of Avatar?
Only with expansions, I think.
Culture? Let's discuss.
I will say in a moment.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. I'm Josh Strife Hayes. I, along with the rest of the MMORPG gaming landscape, have been playing New World for the last couple of days, and I'm enjoying it. It's a high-quality game. There's some content there. There's not a lot of content there, but there is some good stuff to be found. So let's talk about New World, its past, its present, and its future, and how, despite not being perfect, it may actually succeed, unless it falls into what I call the Avatar trap. Before we head off
What's
to
the Avatar trap?
supernatural land of Aeternum, drop a like on the video or sub to the channel for more MMO stuff. Ring the bell for all the future notifications, and as usual...
Yeah guys, don't forget to also subscribe to this channel. We are covering a lot of MMOs here, from discussions, reactions to let's plays and live streams. And yeah, like what I've also noticed in New World, and he just mentioned it, that there's like not so much content right now. And what I think could be a risk of the game dying is if they don't release expansions frequently. Like if there's just one expansion each 2-3 years, I don't think this is enough. Like I know it will be difficult to release like an interesting patch or update every year, but I think if this game wants to survive, it needs to stick to like 1 to 1.5 years until they release something new. Because I've already seen people at endgame already, and it's crazy. Like if you see like people that already run like the best in slot gear or like very end game gear and stuff, like you're surprised because this is like just 2 weeks, right? Now it's the second week of New World. And it's crazy. In the second week of New World, there's already so many players that are like at end game.
A massive thank you to the supporters on Patreon.
That was too quick.
Keep the channel alive. More on how you can support at the end. For now, let's begin. So, New World. It's decent. I'm enjoying it. But let's just approach a little event that made me chuckle. I've already posted some videos on New World discussing the idea it may have already been sold by releasing into a post-information state, and reviewing the beta, criticising several gameplay mechanics, which they've actually started to rectify, by the way. But my videos have angered people. It angered someone so much they posted this on the r/MMORPG subreddit. They specifically took the name Josh Strife Hayes and all variations of it just so I can't have it, because they disagreed with my videos. And it was lovely to see Reddit defending me for once. And because New World assigns a name across all...
Yeah, but I think that's like very toxic. Like, why would you do that to someone even if they have like a different opinion than you? Plus, he didn't say in his video that he thinks the game is overall bad or something. He just criticized some aspects. And I'm gonna be honest, like I also criticized those aspects myself. Like you can also like try to steal my name. I already made a character. But like seriously, like people should like first of all listen to what someone has to say and then watch till the end and not just judge someone by like one statement. Because every game has that there are like some good aspects of a certain game and some bad ones. Like look at World of Warcraft, for example. There's some really bad aspects and some really, really good aspects, and the game is very successful even now after all this mess with like the scandal and everything. Like if you check out on Twitch, you still find like World of Warcraft in the top 20 quite often.
Servers, claiming a name on literally any world secures it on all the others. Now this did make me smile, because I am now part of a very exclusive club, because the same thing happened to Asmongold. In fact, the same thing has probably happened to all major YouTubers or streamers once they become big enough. Now, Asmongold has discussed how
that's a fan club right there.
should be able to reserve their names at any time, and I do actually agree.
Shit.
Not because we want special treatment.
My name was taken too.
Our names are a brand,
but my name is common.
A calling card, literally our recognizable jobs. Taking a streamer or YouTuber's name simply so they can't have it is a really petty act of vindictiveness. But I'm...
You know what's funny, guys? Like I tried to use my name too, Marcel, right? And like I could have used like my channel name, maybe it would have worked, but I just want to use Marcel, and it was of course already taken because there are like so many people in this world called Marcel. So what I did is I called my character Marcel Robinson.
I mean, if the dude is going to play the character, I suppose it's free advertising for me.
Yeah.
Well, with my main brand name taken, I went with what the YouTube captions decide to call me, Josh Strife Hayes. And I logged in. And I queued. Now, queues on an MMORPG launch day are nothing new. Every MMO since the dawn of
just add a little something
had queues on launch day. But Amazon have found a way to make the queue system even worse. You can queue up, and then if you aren't in a certain amount of time, you get kicked out of the queue. And then you have to join the queue from the end.
The queues, I hate
And there were actually moments where there were more people queuing for the game than could actually fit in the game at all. And people said to me, hey, just play on a low population server. There weren't any. Because the European servers released first and names were secured across all worlds, every single player across the globe piled on the European servers to make their character and reserve their name. And later, when their own servers opened up, they would just delete that character off the European servers so they could free up the name again. Every single European world was maxed out within minutes. And this is because names don't work per server. They work globally, which shouldn't happen. The only reason that happens is if in the future there is going to be a major server merge. Character names being universal.
Wait a second. So, is there some leak of what will happen in the future?
Across all worlds, and a rolling server release meant the opening servers were filled almost instantly, and then Amazon announced each world would be limited to 2,000 players, and there were reports of queues having more than 2,000 people in them waiting for a world. So there were moments where more people were queuing to get into this game than the game
I don't think they would
had
ever
the total
merge servers,
capacity
though.
to support, while the worlds were already full. Now, the only real thing this highlighted was Amazon's complete lack of preparation for the interest in the game, and seeing as Amazon owns and hosts Amazon Web Services, one of the biggest server farms in the world, it wasn't exactly a glowing advert for their infrastructure capabilities.
Yeah.
But day one queues are to be expected, so I waited until they released some more servers, joined a lower pop server, and then I got to playing. And after playing for a while, you do start to feel, well, content. Many people have described New World as 3D RuneScape, and I can see why. You can collect resources, process them, create new items.
Yeah, it
more.
is
It's
a little bit like
heavy
that.
game. And you do end up ignoring your current objective to go and collect more crafting stuff. And it's
Oh,
good
I do
because
that all the time.
The questing system gets very repetitive very quickly. Town support quests or faction grind quests or even the main storyline are all go to a place, kill X numbers of things or find
That's
X
exactly
number
like in World of
things and report
Warcraft.
back, and it's sometimes random where you need to go. It's good that the graphics, sound, and general movement design is so nice, because it's...
Like, to be honest, if it wasn't for, like, the graphics and sounds, I would have such a boring time questing. Like, the only thing that makes up for, like, the questing experience, in my experience, is the graphics and the environment. I feel like a bit sort of like I feel when I'm, like, in Skyrim and I, like, explore the areas and stuff. Because this atmosphere, and even if you look like here, this looks like sort of like in Skyrim, right? Like you have those rocks, you have those mountains, you have all those pine trees everywhere and stuff, those bushes. And the graphics are just so nice. Like I like to actually look at my character. I think it's quite detailed and everything. Like some of the weapons do look cool, especially those you get from the Twitch drops, like those purple ones. And I think like the graphics, the feeling, and that you can like grab some stuff like farm, like materials while you're questing, I think that makes up for the lack of cool questing content. I find the quest actually to be way too simple, just one objective. I prefer quests like in Elder Scrolls Online, for example, where you have like multiple objectives in one quest, right? Like for example, go to those runes, activate those runes, summon this and this whatever monster, then kill this monster, get the stone and bring the stone back or something. Like I think that's more cool if you have like 2, 3 or even more objectives in a single quest than go kill 8 zombies, return. Go hunt 10 sheep, return. Like that's so boring, I think, but the world and the graphics and the whole environment makes up for the lack of questing content in a way, right? That's the only reason why I still enjoy questing.
It's really carrying the lackluster questing
It's like
system.
old school World of Warcraft.
Shout out to
Most
the
quests
lighting
were
guys,
like
though.
that.
They have nailed lighting in this game. New
Oh,
World,
shit,
and
yeah.
the footage you're seeing now is on medium, looks gorgeous. The only real saving grace.
I pushed all too high
system is
already.
how
I have a new
easy it
computer
is to
now,
get
by the way.
distracted and wander off and cut trees down or mine ore or go and fish. It is a game that leans into the whole "hey, what's over there" mentality, and if you're comfortable with just switching goals in the middle of an adventure, there is a lot you will find to love here. There are small graphical issues like how various combinations of weapons clip together on your back, or how there's no swimming animation and you walk underwater
What,
like
really?
Pirates of the Caribbean, but these are small issues
I haven't
within
tried
the
that
much
yet.
greater success. And it's the game's many strengths that let you brush off those few failings. Now, I'll
Yeah.
probably get some hate for this, but I like the combat system.
I like
has
it too.
flaws, but in general, I enjoy it. Being limited to 2 equipped weapons, with each weapon having a light attack, heavy attack, and 3 abilities, and then being able to switch between them while dodging and blocking, makes the game feel rather tactical, like you're setting up your playstyle before rushing into combat. It actually reminds me of older MMORPGs that limited player selection, like Guild Wars.
Yeah, and I like that because like the reason why I like this is not only do you have to like think ahead of like what you're gonna do next, but every sword blow or whatever move you make, you have to respond afterwards with something by either blocking or dodging. So I actually like that you have to react during combat, because in some MMOs, for example World of Warcraft, like you just click on a target and then you just spam your skills and you only learn your rotation. First you should put a dot, then you should like, I don't know, throw a slow on the enemy, then you throw like fireballs or something or whatever. Like you have like a certain rotation of certain skills. You just learn that by heart, and each time you see a mob, you just use your brain, like your muscle memory rotation that you've already learned from doing this like 1,000 times. But in New World, the combat is so random. Sometimes a mob will do a certain heavy attack, and then you have to either block or dodge it, or you can use like a defensive skill of your weapon, like the rapier, for example. You can do like the sidestep thingy. And you have to like anticipate the moves of your enemy, same in PvP. And then you can like respond to that by like dodging, blocking and stuff. And it's kind of like it's like very similar to like Dark Souls, where you also need to like think ahead, like, oh, this monster's attacking me and now I do this, now I do that. And even though like the animations are a bit boring and simple, only like a few skills have something like more flashy, like with the ice gauntlet, for example, it looks quite flashy. But the rest is a bit simple looking. And it's not the look that matters, but the feeling of combat, to me personally. Like, yeah, cosmetics are nice. If you have like big explosions, looks cool, right? But if you have an actual fluent combat style, like a cool one where, let's say, you attack, then you dodge, block, then you attack with, I don't know, your special ability, then you dodge, block again, you do this. Now the enemy does this, you shouldn't block it, it will drain your stamina, you just dodge it, whatever. Like, I think that's so cool. I like that about the combat in New World a lot.
Player selection like Guild Wars 1, or using a specific create your build before you go into combat and then level it up, like Neverwinter.
Yeah.
Fewer abilities to use any moment means each ability carries more weight when you do use
And
it.
choices
And
matter
using
more.
abilities feels good. The hits are solid. The impacts look powerful. The sound design for combat
Yeah,
is
with
top-notch,
hammer.
and the moment-to-moment gameplay
Swords is
of
a bit
combat
boring, though.
is fun, which is good. Because once you've been in combat for a while, you'll realise it doesn't change that much. Remember, New World was originally a PvP game. Then they released it for testing, and it turns out PvP doesn't actually have that longevity that you need for an MMORPG. So they
Yeah,
changed it
you
into
need
a
the balance.
PvE game, but they never actually added enough content to make it a full PvE game.
Yeah,
Then
I've
they went back
noticed
to adding
that.
in PvP with all the factions and whatnot. So right now the game feels like a PvP game that isn't focused on PvP, and a PvE game that doesn't have enough content to be a fully PvE game. It's good in both of them, but it's not great in either.
It needs an
Right now,
expansion
it feels
to
like a fun
stay
experience
relevant
with
and
no
longevity.
real identity. I didn't see many people flagged for PvP, because the meager bonuses you gain from being flagged aren't worth the risk of being killed, especially at lower levels. The constant danger outweighs the benefits. You get sent back to town and your time gathering is wasted. In fact, 2 deaths in an hour will pretty much invalidate any bonus experience you could earn in that time, simply because of how far you'll have to walk back to
That's why you
places.
go to
But I'm
endgame
trying to
and then
remain
you
positive.
PvP
New World
first.
is enjoyable, it's high quality, and it's past the first major
the housing is
hurdle
cool too
for a
here.
new MMORPG, actually gathering up a player base. But honestly, I can see one major issue within the future of New World that it's going to have to deal with soon, within the next 3 to 4 months. There simply isn't that much to do once you're max level. Now, I haven't reached the end game myself yet, because I'm forcing myself to play New World the same way I played RuneScape when I was 16. I'm using random mismatched armor because it looks cool, weapons because they feel cool, and I'm following whatever quests I feel like. I'm being completely inefficient and I'm enjoying it. But the players who have already reached the end game are asking, where's the rest of the content? especially PvE
Yeah,
content.
and after just
This is a worry.
not even 2
New
weeks.
World has done one of the most difficult things for a new MMORPG to do. It has reached a critical mass of players to generate and hold the public's interest. I've always said MMORPGs are social facilitators. The games are vehicles for shared adventure, and only by hitting...
But I see that already. Like, I don't know if it's like my servers that I play on. I play on actually 2 servers that have almost the same name. One is Alfheim and one is Nilfheim on EU. And on both servers, I see them heavily recruiting. Like, they recruit heavily for guilds and stuff. And I think PvP, especially like the big wars where you have to like freaking storm a keep, and like, it's so fun, guys. Like, PvP is really well done. That's exactly how I always wished ESO would be, like Elder Scrolls Online for PvP. But they messed up with the server, created lag, and then they kept nerfing like small scale all the time and stuff. And now it was like a disaster of lag, and your power has been constantly reduced patch by patch in ESO. And now everyone is like freaking tanky, and now you just win by numbers. But here what I like is you still can, as an individual, perform really well if you're like very practiced and good. And it's not just raw stats. Like I said, you have to aim, you have to do this and that. So there's like a high skill ceiling in PvP. And you can do those large PvP battles because there isn't that much of a horrible lag like in ESO, for example. I really like that.
A minimum cap of players, will you begin to have the player base generate those adventures themselves? And New World has undoubtedly...
Oh, I was doing the
hit
same
that cap.
quest.
It is now a
Quest
society
is showing. I
unto
did that one
itself.
last night.
But how long it will last is now based on how much content it has. And people have been guessing around 3 to 4 months for an average player if it doesn't release anything new soon. The faction quests are grindy. The PvE is fun for a bit, but the enemy design is limited. You'll be killing zombies and wolves for a long time.
Yeah.
PvP is more balanced at
got
higher
like
levels.
3 or
but how
4
many
quests
people are
like
going
that
to
already.
reach those higher levels and then stick around if PvP is the focus? And historically, we've seen that PvP MMOs don't do that well. As it stands, New World is absolutely worth the $40 buy-in price right now, because there are indeed a few hundred hours of adventure in there if you play casually, but it needs to maintain this momentum. It's past
Constant
the first
expansions, like I
great
said,
barrier
every
of
one
an
and a
MMO.
half
It's
year, one
actually
patch
hit
or
a mass of
expansion.
players, potentially 1 million. It's enough to call it a wild success. But consider this. Players often judge an MMO on how many players it has lost since its peak, and this can cause a false narrative even with the same data. If a game has 100,000 players, that's a very positive, very healthy player base. 100,000 people playing a game might not sound like a lot because of the heights of WoW at 6 million, but 100,000 people is actually solid. But consider this. If a game launches and reaches 1 million
That's active players, right?
and then
Not
a few months
accounts.
later has 100,000 players, people won't say this game has 100,000 players. People will say this game has lost 900,000 players. They won't look at the positives of what it does have.
Yeah.
They'll look at the negatives of what it used to have and now doesn't. Same data, but cast in a negative light. And Amazon, with New World, is setting itself up for that to happen. My biggest worry, despite the initial success, is that New World will go down the same popular culture route as the film Avatar. Avatar was, at the time, the world's highest grossing film. It
Holy
released
shit.
and made approximately all the money, and everyone statistically watched it twice, and then it left absolutely no cultural impact. Avatar came, was a success, and then went. No conventions, no popular extended universe, no demand for more. It's a fascinating study in vapid popular culture being
Oh, and this is important, guys. That's the same thing that happened, for example, with Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, and all that. That is what an MMORPG should aim as. Try, if you make an MMORPG, try to create not just a game, but try to create a franchise. I think that's the best thing you can do for an MMO. World of Warcraft did that, like back in the day with the strategy game Warcraft. Like there was like a whole universe, like a whole franchise created. There are like freaking books to that. What we need is we need like freaking lore books, like story books, like I don't know, maybe something also dramatical or so, like some book about like, let's say a captain that went to Arcanum. So like book that you can like freaking read or something like that. Maybe we need a New World movie. We need like a franchise to that game. Like seriously, guys, we need a freaking franchise. Let it not just be a one-time miracle. Turn this into a freaking franchise, like Lord of the Rings. Like add maybe some unique races or tribes to New World, or maybe there's some kind of god in this world or something, and maybe this one used to be just a normal person or something. Like add some interesting lore, some backstory to the world. I think that's the best thing you can do to keep the game alive and create a franchise. Build on what you have and create a big story, like release 2-3 books or something, like I don't know.
Study in vapid popular culture being completely irrelevant despite starting so huge. When it's Christmas, go into any toy shop and see how much Avatar merchandise you can find. Chances are there won't be that much, if any at all.
Yeah, because it
Avatar is
didn't become a
proof that
franchise.
Immediate, incredible, world-dominating success on release.
You need deep story,
isn't
deep
a
lore.
guarantee of pop culture longevity or long-term relevance. If New World doesn't maintain its momentum with regular new content and improvements to the small issues that it does have, it risks going the same way.
Like Avatar,
now I want
One
it
Time
to
Miracle.
succeed. I'm having a great time in the game. The adventures of Josh Strife Hayes will continue as long as the game remains fun. I am just being cautiously optimistic. Remember, never board the hype train. It never stops where you think it will. Take a seat instead on the realistic expectation bus. It's slower, but you're never disappointed. I hope New World seizes its strong start and keeps delivering, because it really couldn't have asked for a better beginning. And I think within 3 to 6 months, we'll see where New World settles within the MMORPG hierarchy. Where do you think it's going to end up? Will it be top of the pile? Maybe it will settle a few games further down but remain a strong game for years to come, like The Elder Scrolls Online or Guild Wars 2.
Yeah.
Or will it be all opening bark and no long-term bite? Releasing, succeeding, and then fading away. Let me know in the comments below. Cheers for watching. Another massive thank you to the supporters on Patreon and Twitch who keep the channel alive. You can support from only £1 a month. Check the video description for links to the Patreon, Twitch, Twitter, Discord, and the new second channel, Josh Strife Plays, all about replaying classic games from yesteryear. And as always, have a great day.
Yeah, and that's exactly my opinion as well when it comes to like content and keeping a game alive. Like if you look at certain games, like for example Final Fantasy XIV and World of Warcraft, you have tons of content. You have so many zones, like the map, like the whole world is just so huge. You can go from there to there. And right now, even when it comes to like map size in New World, I don't feel like the world map is really that large. It does feel large because you don't have like freaking mounts and you have to like walk everywhere and it's a bit slower. And it's somewhat like Skyrim from the size, maybe, if you're like exploring. Like I have to actually compare today the two, like the whole Skyrim map and the map of like New World. If it's like, I think New World is like a little bit bigger, but like maybe 20% or so, but I have to really compare that. And what we really need in New World is we need this to have more story, more PvE content. And there should be some authors that write freaking stories to that. Like maybe some famous character like an NPC we see and maybe this person's story, how they got to Eternum or the origin of Eternum. Like we go way back before this all starts and what happened with Eternum. Was there some sort of deity or something and this got turned into that? Like we need some freaking books just like World of Warcraft has and other like big story thingies. Like if you look at like even Harry Potter, or okay, maybe that's a weird comparison of Harry Potter and New World, but if you look at like Harry Potter, there are so many different books and like episodes, basically like movies and stuff. Like you have this with Lord of the Rings, you have this with, of course, Final Fantasy, because you have so many Final Fantasy games. Like over the years there was so much story and world built up on that I hope they can also build this kind of like brick on brick, and then one day you have like this huge story, this huge world, this huge lore, and then this also leaves like a door open for, let's say, a New World 2 or something that's maybe having a different name but also is about Eternum or something. Like that would be really nice to see, that from that hype that they have, they start building more, release freaking books, give the fans something they can freaking enjoy outside of the game, like some story, some lore and stuff. Because yeah, PvP is really well done, but PvP isn't the most popular thing. If you look at, for example, Elder Scrolls Online, there was a survey. The majority of players that play Elder Scrolls Online are into PvE and not PvP. So the PvP community was not large enough that the company decided, you know what, let's just focus on freaking dungeons and stuff. We're not gonna patch anything in PvP. We keep the server still lagging, and they purely focused on PvE because the PvP community wasn't large enough. Now with New World, you have probably, in my opinion, the best MMO PvP game that I've ever played before and seen before. And it's really well designed, very, very high skill ceiling, what I love in games. It's sort of like a shooting game within an MMO. Yeah, that's how I would describe it. It's really, really fun. I enjoy it, but we need a deeper story. We need more content in PvE. We need to know what the heck is happening on Eternum, and not just, oh, we got shipwrecked, and when people die, they come back as freaking lost or corrupted, or they come back normal. Sometimes they don't come back. Like, we need to know more of what's up in the game. And we need some more impactful characters, like NPCs, that we can take quests from, or that have some interesting backstory. Like, that would be interesting. And maybe like some races or different tribes. Like, maybe we should add some elves or something to New World, right? Like, maybe an expansion comes out where there's like another island and like elves or dwarfs or something are living on that. Like, we need some more lore, like seriously. And maybe new races and stuff. That would be cool. But let's see where they will go from here. I think New World can have a chance because the engine is good, the graphics is good, combat is good. Like, the whole base thing, the technological thingy is good. But we just got the base. We don't have the top yet, right? It's kind of like you have an engine for a car, but all the other parts are like missing. Yeah, you have a strong engine. That's cool. But we need the rest. We need to completely build it up, right? I feel like New World is something like that. But yeah, I enjoy New World. I continue playing it. I will continue playing it for at least several more months. And I hope there will be like in a year or so an expansion. And yeah. I have some good hopes for New World. I don't think Amazon will let it die because they put too much money into it, so much sponsorship, so many ads. It would be stupid by the company to just let the game die. So let's all stay positive and wait, and probably there will be some good news soon. And yeah, if you guys are new to this channel, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more content. And I would also really appreciate if you like this video. This will help out with the YouTube algorithm. I wish everyone a wonderful day. Please stay all safe and healthy. Until next time.